Hey guys, we're going to be going back to the Eggsterminator, this time for sort of a budget clear, just to show how to clear it if you can't like OTK it or whatever. Now I know most of the units on the team are EX3, which people are going to say, oh, that means not budget. Unfortunately, there is no way to down level a unit just for a video, so most of my units are EX3, so I have no option but to use EX3 units if I'm going to make a video. But we're not using any STMRs on the team other than potentially the unit's own STMR, and you can swap this stuff out as you want. So let's go ahead and get the clear in, and then I'll show the gear at the end and explain some unit swaps. So we're not using any modifiers. You can turn on modifiers if you want, but this is not a score run. This is just get a clear run. So what we're going to be using is a physical tank with evasion, and the whole party has earth resist up to 300% after a buff. So we're going to be using Daughter of Thunder Secura, or whatever she's called. We'll shift her immediately on turn 1. We're going to use Thunder Imbue Amplify with True Thunderstone. That's also going to give us a 100% Earth Resist buff. Other than that, just, whatever, hit the boss with Thunder. You got to hit the boss with Thunder every single turn, or the morale will be heavily penalized. Kresnik is going to Arcane Stimulant. That's going to start the morale game. Tiana is going to Quad Cast. We'll do Trouble Brewing. We're going to go with a Thunder team, so we're going to do Electric Yellow Concoction. We'll do Revitalizing Brew to help heal the party. And then we're going to do Nutritious Tonic for break immunity on turn 1. Ling is going to shift, and then she'll do Morale Fill. She'll also do Mechanic Stance for Machine Killer. And then she'll do Moving Dance for a stat buff. Yigni in the shift form will do Shrouding Veil to break the boss. We're going to do Vitality Fountain to unlock Quadcast. We can do Seal of Doom for a better break, and then just Soul Projection, doesn't really matter. And then Behemi is going to Cover, Provoke, and they updated his skills. One of them gives Physical Mitigation. I don't know which one it is. It doesn't really matter right now because we're currently evading everything. Yeah, I think maybe it's no need for armor. I don't know. We only need actual bulk on the tank on thresholds. The thresholds are 75%, 50%, and 25%. Because on thresholds, the boss gains 3 turns of accuracy, which means we'll stop evading. But for the moment, we're evading, and all the magic is earth damage, and we're resisting it with a combined 300% from buffs and gear. We're not imperiled to earth yet, but we will be later in the fight. Alright, so Kresnik is going to give us Arcane Remedy this turn. That's going to put up just permanent immunity to pretty much everything. Stop, say ailments, breaks, etc. Shakira can do her Shifted LB for a bigger Amplify. This just speeds up the fight. If you don't have Daughter of or Sage of Thunder Shakira, it's not that big a deal. Behemi can do Departed King. Whoops. Departed King. I guess we can do King's. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I don't even know. Whatever. It doesn't even matter. Lane can go to the base form. We're going to Blithe, Moving, and it just doesn't really matter that much. I guess we'll stay in the shift form for the moment. I kind of want to fill LB gauge. So we're going to Blithe. We're going to Dragon Dancer, and I guess we'll just refresh Mechanic Stance. And we're going to start dealing damage with our DPS. So we're going to use Tiana to chain Thunder, and we're going to quad chain that with Yigni. And then you can replace these DPS units with whatever you want. Lara Croft, Carton, etc. These are great options. Sky, Esther, use your best DPS, but we're going to go with the mages just to intentionally do a little bit of a slower clear. Okay, so we pushed the first threshold already, so the boss is going to now gain accuracy. The boss will be doing Thunder physical attacks, and then some non-elemental regular attacks, etc. Bohemi has Mirage. So we're wearing Thunder Resist as well on Bohemi. So he's resisting these attacks that have accuracy. Mostly, you see he's getting hit a little bit because I think he's only got 90% resist after those must have been the non-elemental attacks. Yeah, the boss does really low damage with the modifiers turned off. So there you go. So let's go ahead and use Kresnik to use his shifted LB just to fill even more morale per turn. We can go to the base form with Ling. Let's go ahead and do a disarming movement for good break, and we'll do Dance of Ferocity. We can just reload this, and we'll just chain this up, continuing to deal damage. Oh yeah, every threshold, the boss gains a turn of mitigation. So I forgot about that. So yeah, we did very, very low damage that turn because of the mitigation. Sakura, not much to do this turn. We can just like imbue and just literally whatever, imbue. Bohemi can just cover, provoke, and immunity, I guess, for more morale. Yeah, so you know this clear is not going to be the quickest because the boss is going to get mitigation every threshold, which is, like I said, 75, 50, and 25%. But if your tank has resistance to earth and lightning, it's pretty whatever. And I guess you technically don't really even need evasion because we're going to be having the boss hitting thresholds pretty much every turn anyway. So yeah, we just like keep chaining, I guess. Let's go ahead and shift Ling. I think we need to refresh the machine killer. So we'll just do these and machine killer. Chain this up. And if you're wondering where the breaks are coming from, it's from Ling. Ling did disarming stance a moment ago. So we pushed 2 thresholds. Oh shoot, well we killed the boss. Well, okay. Below 50%, the boss starts doing a few more attacks per turn, but again, they're primarily elemental attacks, and because we're using 300% resist from the party, we don't really care about that, so it's kind of whatever. So here's the breakdown. Tiana is, you know, overall better for this than Yigni, but we needed someone to chain with her. So I'll show you the gear and explain some swaps. You know, it's a really simple fight as long as you've got some resistance gear in your party. We didn't use any modifiers. You can turn them on if you want. Here's the party. So the tank is going to want to have a physical tank or an omnicover tank if you have one. So the tank wants to have, after a buff, 300% earth and thunder resist. We're using Sakura, and she does 100% earth and thunder buff, so she's like really, really good for this. If you don't have her, you can just wear more resistance gear. The boss does pretty low damage. You don't need to full immune it, but by full immuning it, you will take You will take less of a morale penalty. As you can see, I wasn't even immune to thunder damage. It didn't really matter. So here's the build we're using. We're using full evasion. You don't really need that because, like I said, the evasion's only going to work until you push a threshold, then it's going to stop working. And the boss does low damage anyway, so I guess you could have ignored evasion, but Bohemi gears for it really easily anyway. This is a great vision card for this Clash of Wills for your tank. It's a free vision card, meaning you get it randomly in the pool. But if you're a Brave XPS tank, you get 15, 15, and then 30. So a combined 60% to thunder and earth resist, which is the 2 resistances you need for your tank. So here's the build we used. You can swap Bohemi out with literally any physical tank you want. Snow, Gladiolus, Maeve, Sea Card, whoever you want, it's fine. Just give them some thunder and earth resist. Kresnik was just built for, the whole party has 300% earth resist after a buff. Again, we're using a 100% buff. So all the rest of the party is using is 200 or better from gear to earth. Nothing else matters. So here you go. Here's Kresnik's build. Just some earth resist. Shift form, some earth resist. A little bit of LB fill, but that's pretty much it. Ling, same thing. Just, earth resist. And I gave her some LB fill with like Call of the Wild and the paintbrush just to make things easier. Like I mentioned, this card is amazing. There you go. Shift form, gear the same. No STMRs, just 200 earth resist, so we're immune to all the damage. Sage of Thunder Secure. So this is the skill I was talking about. I think I showed it during the fight, but I'll show it again. She has a 100% to Earth and Thunder resist. Thunder is only for the physical cover tank. You don't need Thunder on the party, just Earth on the party, because the Earth is magical and we're not covering magic. Again, if you're not using her, you can use like Tiana's 75% buff. You can use the 60% buff from Kresnik. You can use an 80% buff from an Esper. And then, make up the difference with your gear. But otherwise, she's just literally using just resist gear. That is all that matters, is getting to 300% Earth after a buff. Here's Tiana's base form. Whoops. I messed that up. It didn't matter on turn 1, because turn 1 we didn't get imperiled. Okay, I messed that up. Oh, my bad. I said no STMRs, and I was gearing the party with STMRs, and I took them all off, and I forgot whatever. Her shift form has no STMRs. Yeah, I took all the STMRs off the party on her shift form. I just forgot to remove it from the base form. Whatever. Here's the form she was in the entire fight anyway. Shift form, 200% Earth resist. Yep, and here's the build. And the materials are, mostly resist gear, because I'm trying to not use STMR, so her damage went down some. I mean, we killed it in 4 turns anyway, so whatever. Stone Killer 150, Machine Killer 115. So very, very low killers, because I'm not using STMRs. And this card as well. This card, if you're a Brave Expedition unit, gives you 30 Earth resist and some magic, so it's like, an okay card for this. But anyway, if you give her a bunch of STMRs, like Ellie's STMR or Edward Elric's STMR, you can gear Earth Resist with a lot of slots open, put on more killers, and the fight will be over even quicker. Yigni's shift form, same thing, 200 Earth Resist. Just, whatever other than that. Again, his damage is kind of nerfed by using most materia slots for resist, but it makes it easier. And this card, people are going to say pay-to-win card. It literally provided nothing except more stats. So to swap this out with any card you want, like his resist is still the same. It's just DPS. So the fight would have been slower with less gear. But the fight doesn't change really. Again, the boss gets accuracy, but because we're immune to pretty much everything with Earth resist on the party and Lightning resist for the tank, the physical tank, it does not matter how slow you are. You can go as slow as you want. It doesn't matter. Just make sure you deal thunder damage every single turn to the boss. That way he doesn't do his, I forget what it's called, but if you don't deal thunder damage, he gains a massive amount of morale. And if he gains too much morale, he'll get to the instant death skill on the far right side of the morale bar. Assuming this one even has, I don't even know if this one has it this time. Does the boss have instant death? Yep, Fatal Despair. Yeah, but I mean, as long as you're hitting the boss with thunder every turn, you're never going to see that. So just use thunder every single turn. There's the cheapy budget run. So swap out the units with whatever you want. Just get resist and a tank. That's it. See you next time.